the students can actually see and view it at own time and pressure, right? So this is the software of the support that we have from NUS. I'm very privileged to have this. Now, the one thing that I did extensively this year is to engage the students by way of the flipped classroom. So I believe most of you are familiar with what flipped classroom. Just briefly, what this does is that in the typical format, we actually just engage the students during class, during lecture time. This flipped classroom format requires a student to do the preparation ahead of the actual contact time. So in other words, before the lecture period or contact hour, the students will actually prepare by reading the notes, watching the video and so forth. And during the flipped class session, in a normal time, we have face-to-face, we actually talk in the classroom. But obviously during the COVID period, we have virtual classes. That's when we have a Zoom session and we'll discuss the case or the questions or the lecture material during the class. And after the class, work is not done yet for the students. They expect to go back and sort of reflect on what they've done to better their understanding. So this is something that we actually did it some years ago, but I think the COVID pandemic sort of brought this to the forefront, and we actually did it a lot during this period. So this is just a summary comparing the old system, the former sort of the traditional conventional method to the flipped classroom, right? So you can see that the biggest difference is that in the conventional system, students just simply sit down and listen in a one-way sort of talk, one-way session for delivery from the lecturer. But in the flipped classroom approach, during the class time itself, that's where students engage with us as the lecturers actively, right? Applying concepts, discussing cases, discussing problems and so forth. So this is the format which we kind of, for me, I found this to be very useful, because one of the difficulty is that on virtual classroom, we're not quite sure whether the students are there, right? You see a black screen, you don't know they're there. So this question of student engagement is a challenge to me using a virtual class. So I found that during a flipped class, I could actually engage them very actively during that 1 hour or 1.5 hours session through by way of flipped class. Now, obviously, you will realize that a flipped class will require a lot more work on the instructor's part, because now I have to make sure that not only the files or materials are available online for them to read before the lecture, but we also need to present it in way of a more engaging format, such as we record our videos and allow them to watch it online before that. So in other words, I actually spend a lot of time, in my own home studio doing recording to make sure that, the students have something to watch. So this is an example of what I mean by recording. So this is a feature using the IRES platform, where actually I could actually I pre-record, all right, the lecture in this way, upload it, and then students are expected to sort of watch it beforehand. And of course, then it comes to during contact hour, we actually discuss cases or questions and issues. Right. So this is an example of what a pre-recording would look like. So sorry, I keep showing my face on this presentation. So this is a program using a Planetop platform, which is really nice. So in other words, I'm actually going through my slides. All right. As you can see, this is one of my slides here. And there's a recording of myself, and there's even a timestamp on the different slides where they are. So and it's very nice, right? Students can actually go in and sort of watch this before and after class. All right. But one trick I realized is that students tend to fast forward, right, when they watch, because they can go through it a lot faster than actually listening in real time. Now, our platform anyway also provides us with information analytics, right? They call it, such as the lectures that's been uploaded, how many downloads, how many views do we get by days. So we can roughly understand how well the students engage in all these videos. All right, so that's much. That's all I want to say about the virtual class using flipped classes. Let me go on quickly to talk a little bit about the assessment. Now, when COVID first came earlier part of the year, we had a huge debate in NUS, which is to say that we're actually deciding and debating whether should we have a face-to-face, F2F assessment exam or a virtual online exam. Fortunately, for many of us, we're actually quite familiar with the online exam format, because we have been using the exam soft /Exemplify software for a number of years already. And it's really nice, right? It's really a great platform. In case you're not familiar with it, so let me quickly just talk a little bit about it. I'm not promoting this or anything, but just that it's so convenient once we switch over that, we find that it's very, very easy way to assess, because once you put in like multiple choice questions, this software itself will automatically grade all these questions, and it's so well organized, very easy to do it. Now the issue really for us was a question of exam integrity. In other words, we wanted to make sure that the students don't collaborate or cheat. And as a result of that, we actually have quite a number of elaborate sort of regulations or guidelines on how we proctor our online virtual exams. So for instance, you see that the student needs to produce and show the ID. When they come into the virtual room, they need to turn on a video without fail and with no virtual background, not unlike what I'm having now. And not only that, there's also IT support, right? During and before and the exam, where students can actually obtain help, right, from our IT department should they have any technical difficulty, right? So this is the exam soft, which is really nice. So this is an example of the exam that took place earlier in the year, where you can see that all of us are coming in on to the exam. And as you might know, we do have some exchange student then, like this gentleman here, he's actually from Germany. So we have students in here from Germany, Canada, Korea, China, and so forth, taking the exam, and it worked out pretty well actually. Now, this is the exam that took place just recently, and you realize that there is a slight difference because in our last exam, this past exam here, we now require the students to have two devices. One is the laptop that they're using for the exam, and second device is where they go on Zoom, and the Zoom will show their environment, will show their laptop, and basically to show that they are not in a room where sitting across each other and therefore discussing the exam question. So we all this kind of elaborate setup to make sure that students take this very, very seriously. So in short, I will say that delivering the curriculum this past year for NUS has not really been a real big issue, because we are well poised to handle virtual learning and assessment. We have had that for a number of years already. And I would say that students and the staff adapted very quickly to this. And as a sort of add-on, because I use flipped classes quite a lot this past year, I found that to be very, very useful. It's a lot more work, but I concluded it was quite clear that the amount of material that's delivered through a flipped class is a lot more than when I did during a conventional class, because now the students have time to sort of read through the material. We have extensive discussion during class, and by so doing, by this enlarged learning sort of platform, I think it's more enriching for the students. In a way, it's enriching also because we empower the students to learn on their own. And it's a lot more work, as I said before, but I think it's definitely worth the extra effort. Right, with that, thank you.
Oh, you have 4.5 minutes left.
All right, I can take question, I guess.
Great. Yeah, I think we should use part of that time for questions. Karen, you had a question.
Yes, what I wanted to say was, how long did it take to make this all work? Because it seems from what you're saying that it's seamless. And were there any bad experiences that we can all learn from?
Yeah, well, it is quite seamless because, like I said, we have this system on for some time.
Yeah.
It was just a bit of a learning curve for us when we do the videos and we do the editing, to make sure the light is good and so forth. So it was a little bit of that, but it's not too bad. After all, we have nothing to do, right? But stay at home, so so it wasn't too bad actually. The one challenge, I guess, would be that students actually found this flipped class to be a lot more demanding. Although I said that it's enlarged thing, but they actually had to spend more time learning. So they couldn't, for instance, like come into the class or don't attend class. They now have to be online, and we want to see them. And if they are not participating, we actually know that they are not participating. So it's a lot demanding for students. So in other words, those students who really like to sort of play punk and skip classes, it'll be harder for them to do that. But that's life, right?
Thank you.
Annie, do you have a question, or is this a comment?
Annie's question, right? Yeah, I think
Oh,
I
yeah,
agree what
mine's
Annie
just a
said.
comment, really, a comment, because I've tried it as well, and it's a comment.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I fully agree with this comment. There's another question from
Quilin. Yeah.
Quilin to about assessment. We could actually do the assessment both ways. We can do it open book, closed book. But what we did was that we did, for my modules, we did open book. So there are two ways of having open book exam under ExamSoft software. One is that we have an open book without internet access, meaning to say that the program will lock their internet access. So all they have is the materials on their laptop, and that's it. If it's open book with internet access, then they can actually go on the web and do that and sort of get information and so forth. So there are pros and cons with each way. So it doesn't matter. It really have to it's up to the instructors to decide. So the follow-up question is, how long did my students have to answer my exams? I set a 2-hour exam exam paper, which is the normal sort of exam, 2-hour duration for. If it's face-to-face, exam is the same length duration of time. All right. So I think Danielle has a comment as well. Yep. So I agree with you, Danielle.
Are there any other questions?
May I have a question?
Sure.
Yes.
So we were discussing in my university to do the exams like you are explaining us, doing the students at home and we with a camera checking that the students are doing that. But the students complain, and we have, because of legal reasons, we have to remodulate the exams because it was almost forbidden if someone say no to be monitored by do you have this type of problems? We have completely changed exams due to this rule.
I don't think it's a problem for us. Even when we have exchange students from Europe, or that there was no objection. Actually, maybe my co-author Joseph might want to add to this.
Yeah, there will be a few students who find it inconvenient to turn on their video, but I think we go on the for us, it's an issue of reasonableness, all right? And if students find their home environment, they can't do it, we actually provide a centralized space for the students who doesn't want to turn on the video to come to the campus, and we actually have a place for them. And that also overcome, beside the privacy security, is also about internet. Some students, their internet are not so stable at home, or it's a bit noisy to do at home. So they come, we have that space provide for them as well, right? Yeah.
Well, is a question about the word limits on open book exams.
Yes, so good question. It depends on the question. So for some questions, depending on how many marks are given to them, we normally have a word limit. So, and then just essay questions, for instance, right, have a word limit. For that's just one kind of questions. We also multiple choice questions, calculation question, and the like. So normally we will give sufficient, word limit, so they're not to worry. But we tend to be we don't get too big a limit, otherwise they'll spend too much time on it. Yeah, there's another question about whether there's any difference in exam results online or offline. So what we found was that for this year's, when we compared the curve, all right, for this year's online assessment compared to the last few years, there wasn't really a big change, to be honest, for my modules, all right? So I'm not sure whether my other colleagues have this problem, but we don't typically have a problem. In any case, in NUS, we have a curve system. So it doesn't really matter, right? So in the end, we curve it. So that's fine. There's a question here from Annie about not recording the interactive part of it, whether this might be an issue for their privacy. What we do is that when they go off in the breakout rooms and discuss, we don't record that portion. All right, which I don't know whether it can be done. Actually, I don't think it can be done. So we don't do that, right? But when they come back to this main room and discuss, that is being recorded. So in other words, all our sessions are recorded. just so that no students have time able to watch it later on because they're not around or under quarantine or whatever reason. So we record it. I just like this session before is there was a prompt, right, to see that this session has been recorded. So we do that, right? So we use a lot of Zoom features, so it's really nice. Okay, I hope I answered everybody's questions. Yep, I think I have.